Hello! Today I will be showing the sound design that I've done for a Unity demo. This will include the Fmod project, taking a little look at the logic where I composed the music for the game, and going into the demo itself to show a little bit of the gameplay, how the music reacts, and how the sound effects all fit into everything. To go through the list sort of systematically, I have the enemy explosion sound first. Now this is what's going to play when the enemy explodes. As you'll see in the demo itself, there is a player ship, there's asteroids, and there are enemy ships that try to shoot lasers at you, and the player ship can destroy both of these obstacles with their own lasers. So we'll see different lasers shot from the player and the enemy, and how all of these explosion sounds factor into everything. So here is the enemy explosion sound. As you can see, I've done, and this will be a trend with all explosion sounds, but I've put a little bass drum hit in addition to my voice under a bunch of filters and an explosion sound. The bass drum, along with the voice line and the explosion sound, makes it sound more realistic and gives the impact of the explosion to the player. The player fire and enemy fire, as you can see, are both just randomized pitch little laser sounds that were made with chiptone. The player explosion is also my voice, as well as the bass drum hit and the explosion sound. And of course we have the asteroid explosion sound, which is just the bass drum and the explosion sound. And you will see all of these in the context of the game. Now here we have the thrust. This is something that's going to be, as the ship moves forward, playing in the background in order to give the player the feeling of moving forward constantly in space. It's really just kind of background noise in order to put the whole rest of the sound in context. Now, here we have the lose theme, and this will be important as it plays when the player loses, and it will be called upon in the Fmod event of the entire music track. Here I have it looped so that in the middle of both of these two sections, so that it cleanly loops throughout the whole thing as it repeats. And here we have our final Fmod event, which is the whole shebang, as I call it, or all of the different parts put together for the music. We have the reference thrust that will be playing in the background. We have the reference loss theme that will be playing here when the player dies. And here we have the horizontally adapting music and the different points at which it will be transitioned to from the regions. And this is all controlled via a parameter up at the top here. And I'll just play some of the music before we go into the game and the logic itself. And of course, there's the demonstration of the music. The whole thing will be included in the portfolio itself, so that's where you can listen to it. And next up will be sort of a visual display of the Logic project that I made this in. This is the Logic project where all of the music was made. As you can see, the instruments are split up into different groups, and right here we have the loss violins that play after the player loses the game. As you can see, different instruments have similarly colored lines. This is because they are mirroring parts. The woodwinds have the melody in the beginning, followed by the brass after. They'll come together at the end, as you'll see later, and play at the same time. This is where the woodwinds have the spotlight. Then comes the transition from the oboe and clarinets to the horns. And here, the horns have the spotlight. And here is the horns and oboe and clarinet line all coming together and playing the piece and giving it a texture that works well with the game. Here I'll play you an example of the woodwinds. This is an example of the transition between the woodwinds to brass. Here the brass are taking the lead. And here's the transition from the brass to all of them playing collectively. Now we'll see the Unity project where it's all put into context. Here we have the Unity project that all of this takes place in, and here we have the different Fmod and Unity events and the scripts that are attached to them and how they sort of work with Fmod in order to make all these sounds connect and play at the proper time. And I'll just do a little gameplay demonstration so that you can see sort of how it all factors into the context of the game. Something to note is that the music change points where it horizontally adapts are at 250 points and 500 points respectively. So it will stay in this intro loop until we hit those two things. And there's the first adaptation. There's the first section of the piece. we've just hit the second part of the piece. And there you have it. Thank you for watching.